Hey, we are here today to talk about Wutang, an American Saga, Season 3, Episode 2 and 3. But it wasn't a win for me. And this is a rant, not a recap. So if you're looking for like frame by frame, scene by scene moments, you're not going to get that here. You're going to get probably a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So season, and then also bear with me, I'm gonna go in and out of reality. I'm gonna like talk about the episode, then talk about an interview that I saw with members of Wu-Tang, and then come back to the episode. So just bear with me. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. So episode 2 basically starts off in the hospital with ODB. Shuri's there, and Shuri calls RZA like he's here, and ODB is not too proud of that because if you remember from season 2, ODB and RZA were beefing. They had a fight in the train station because ODB was like, "Yo, son, I always wanted to be on Def Jam, son." Then they start fighting. Psh, 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 get the Wu-Tang sound effects. Okay, so they're beefing. ODB from episode 1 was on this drug binge, snorting cocaine on the street while addressing bootleggers, and in the bar punching pow the bartender, the manager of the bar, and then he's on this chase. He ends up falling out of the building. So then, in the hospital, Shuri calls RZA, like RZA comes, because the real goal of this episode is to get ODB in the studio to record that album, because they've had advances that they have to pay back to Elektra. Like, they have a deadline and they've been stalling Elektra because ODB is nowhere to be found, but they need to record that album because they owe the record label. So Divine's putting the pressure on RZA, and RZA's stressed out. And meanwhile, RZA's girlfriend is like, "Yo, I'm leaving you because, like, bye." That was probably the biggest mistake she ever made. But, he's now married and a vegan to a chick in LA. So, whatever. Bye, girl. What you doing now in Ohio? But, that was, I guess, a pivotal point to show what a workaholic RZA was. But anyhow, ODB steals Shuri's car. And here's my question. How was it that Ghostface could afford to buy a 7 Series BMW for Shuri back in the 90s? Because back in the 90s, a 7 Series BMW was well into $50,000 range. Now, 2023, a $40,000 car is a Nissan Rogue. How do I know? Because I drive one. And I'm like, what? But anyhow, but how was Ghostface affording this car? And so that's what made me go off into the stratosphere, also known as YouTube, to like get some information. But I happened to notice watching Vlad with Raekwon, and it's like a 28-part interview series. Basically, it's like a 2-hour interview that he spliced up for extra content, 5-minute videos. So this one with Raekwon, it was a video about how he gave half of his $500,000 advance for Only Built for Cuban Links, purple tape to Ghostface. And Raekwon basically says, you don't really get all of that money. You get $500,000 to get the album done. That's what people don't get. You may get advances, but that advance is not going to your lifestyle. But he said Ghostface was my boy this time. We were like thick as thieves, and as you recall from season 1, they were at odds, and then they came together. To me, Ghostface and Raekwon are like the glue to Wu-Tang to me. They are, to me, the stars of Wutang. Then Method Man, Method Man is the superstar who branched out. But to me, the soul of Wutang is Method Man and Ghostface. Now, I know people will be like, what you talking about? That's what I'm talking about. So, because to me they're the best, they're my favorite lyricists of both of them. And then they still tour together. Like right before lockdown, I saw both of them in Chicago performing at this hip hop concert that who knew that was going to be like the hip hop concert to start off the pandemic. But anyhow, Ghostface had half of Raekwon's advance because he was all over Only Built for Cuban Links. But I was like, did Ghostface take some of that money to buy that 7 Series BMW? So back to the show. That 7 Series BMW that Shuri had, ODB said, you know what? I'm out of this hospital. I'm out. So he took it and left her there. Meanwhile, she gets back to the apartment because she's like worried about her baby Infinite that she has with Ghostface. And here's the funny thing. When RZA was in the house with Ghostface was like, here, yeah, make sure, Shuri and them are all right. I'm like, you're not going to check on Shuri? You sending Shuri's brother to check on her? All right, Ghostface, I got your number. But that makes sense because in that interview with Vlad, Raekwon also said, plot twist, Ghostface had a thing with Aaliyah. And I had no idea that he had a thing with Aaliyah. Apparently, everybody had a thing with Aaliyah. Dame Dash, Jay-Z, everybody had a thing with Aaliyah. R. Kelly, let's not forget him. One who put Aaliyah on the map. As I digress. So, and Ghostface was caught up, and he was in the studio, and he was also in that house where they had all these girls, these video girls from back in the day, roaming around, more girls than guys in the house. So, orgies were probably taking place. You didn't hear that from me. But so that was just weird. You didn't go check on her. So when Shuri gets back to the house, there's a note from the babysitter, nanny, or I don't know if they were at nanny status at that time, but the babysitter was like, he refused to leave, so I took the baby. So then we see ODB sleep on the sofa with his legs crossed like that. I was like, face down, ass up, legs crossed. I was like, that's weird. But she woke him up, and it seems as though Shuri's the one who talks sense into him. And he starts telling this story. I'm not sure if he told the story. I can't remember if it was in the hospital or if it was on the sofa. That basically he was trying to save a cat. That's how he ended up in the hospital, which was such BS. No, you were running from the law. Running for your life, right? Running Flavor Flav. But this episode, let's just fast forward. They got him to the studio, RZA, and after Shuri talked sense into him, RZA had a talk, and they were discussing the album because all the pressure's on. And I recall they recorded that album in a day. But, I mean, it was just a bunch of shimmy, shimmy, ya, shimmy, shimmy, yay. Just a bunch of goofiness, which leads into episode 3, which in my mind was a bunch of goofiness. Because when shows tend to stray from the linear path that it's on into this whole, like, let's just say dream sequence, or this alternate reality of the show where you see the characters are now other characters. They are now playing other roles. It could either go well or it could go not so well. In my mind, this didn't go so well at all. But from what I have seen on the internets and on YouTube and other people reviewing the show's channel, they said this episode got really good towards the end. And someone in the comments said it actually brought tears to their eyes. And I was like, oh my God, I should go back and watch. I like when things bring tears to my eyes. That means my soul has been touched. But I don't even know if I have it in me to go back, because I watched it and essentially it was ODB trying to express that he wanted to do a comedy album. At least that's the way I took it. Like, he wanted to be a comedic rapper. And so they went into this whole sequence. Now he's on stage telling jokes as Dirt McGirt. And Maxine, why can't I think of her real name? We're just going to call her Maxine or Pam. Maxine from Living Single, Pam from The Cosby Show, who also plays RZA's mom, is now playing this sort of drug boss lady who lives in a mansion, who lays around eating grapes and bonbons and ordering people around to perform for her. And so this kept going on, and then like we see the person who plays Power doing his head like this. Like, this dude who plays Power is always doing this, which is funny to me. And the funny thing is, he reminds me, like, the guy who plays Divine and the guy who plays Power, they remind me of guys on campus in the 90s, the New York, Brooklyn guys on campus in the 90s. The way Divine dresses, I swear his outfit, that Tommy Hilfiger button down he wears, I swear I knew several guys who wore that same outfit all the time. Tommy Hilfiger, baggy jeans and Timbs. And Divine was just, they just embodied the 90s to me. But, and speaking of which, since this is a rant, Shuri does not embody the 90s. Shuri, like, I noticed season 1, she seemed like somebody from the 80s. She seemed like she was from the JJ Fad era in California. She didn't seem like a 90s New York girl to me. At least the 90s New York girls who went to Howard University that I knew of. Because that was like my first, real exposure to people from different parts of the country. But aside from like watching hip hop videos. So, where was I? Because I digressed a whole lot. So the episode 3, I just couldn't get through. I paused it at one point. I was like, we're only 20 minutes in and I still don't know what's happening. And mind you, I will be the first to say I am not an aficionado of or historian of ODB's music. I had the album with the welfare card on the liner notes on the cover. But to be honest, the only songs I really truly remember are Shimmy Shimmy Ya and Brooklyn Zoo. Those are only 2 songs that are in my mental database. So I couldn't finish the episode. I fast forwarded to the end where they ended up on the video set where Bokeem Woodbine, favorite actor on earth, Bokeem Woodbine, he's like the best actor I'm joking, he's not a great actor, but I mean, you see him in a movie Caught Up, that says it all, or in Jason's Lyric, that says it all. But Bokeem Woodbine is playing Don Cornelius at Soul Train, and they're on the video set, and that's how the episode ends. Drop into the comments and tell me about that episode. Did you like it? Did it make you come to tears like it did that person in the other comment section? Let me know. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Like and subscribe. And another thing, can we talk about the makeup? RZA's makeup. I mean, RZA's sideburns, you can see the glue. You can see all the glue in the sideburns. Like, who's doing makeup on this show? And my sister wanted me to say to you all that Mario Van Peebles is a horrible director. Like, she really has it in for him. Like, every time she sees a thing, why is Mario Van Peebles a director? Like, what did he do to you? I mean, I like Posse. Posse was stupid. Everything he's ever done is stupid. Okay, now like and subscribe and tell a friend, tell a friend.